Cooking up some aluminum foil, simple, easy steak and vegetables meal. So I went to the store tonight. I got a real nice sirloin for about $9 a pound. It's a big old sucker. We chopped it up. We've got some green peppers and some sweet onions. We've got mushrooms and potatoes. We're gonna throw all of that into the foil in a mix with some butter. We got our fresh ground pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, not garlic salt, because we're going to put regular sea salt in there as well. So we're going to go ahead and get this started. Friendly little advice. That right there is about what you're looking for in the size of chunks you want to cut the steak up into. We're talking about 1 inch by 1 inch, as close as you can get. It's going to be a little difficult simply because of the fact that depending on the cut of your steak, depending on where the fat lays inside of it. But that's kind of what you're wanting to go for, something a little like that. So we're going to start out by sticking the steak in each one of them. So we're going to grab ourselves a handful of that and spread it out real nice in the aluminum foil. And this is one of those you can go as much or as little as you like. Me, I'm a big fan of steak. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy, so I'm going to put a crap ton in there. Now, you don't want to go too crazy. You're going to make sure you be able to seal this up when it's done, or it's not going to cook properly. So I'd say right about there is probably good. Give us enough space for all of our veggies. We're making 2 of them tonight. So put some more over in this one. Like I said, spread it out so that you get enough room for your aluminum foil. Like I said, see, depending on the cut of the steak, sometimes you're going to end up getting smaller pieces. That's no big deal. Might be a little more cooked than the others, but that'll be fine. So, but yeah, like I said, I got a real nice sirloin from the grocery store. Our grocery stores around here have a really great meat market. So I got a real nice big sirloin for about $9 a pound. So it turned out really, really well. All right, so now we're gonna do some onions. I'm not the biggest fan of onions, but I do get a sweet onion. So that ought to turn out pretty nice. I'm not gonna put a whole lot in there. There we go. Mostly just use them for flavoring purposes. They're pretty good that way. Also got some green peppers. Now you see I cut them up. Try to get them real nice and thin, so that way they cook real well. A lot easier to cook them through thoroughly, and they'll end up coming out real nice and soft. Really add into that flavor. So, oop, there we go. Got an extra one there. And that was a big bell pepper too, so there's gonna end up being lots of leftovers. I'll probably have to end up cooking a couple more of these. And the cool part is when you cook them like this, once they cool down, you can throw them in the freezer, and then you can freeze it, and then all you gotta do, you can even leave it in the aluminum foil when you freeze it, and then pull it out of the freezer. You know, kick your oven up to about 450, which we're currently sitting, or 425, my apologies. We're sitting at 425 right now. Oven's all nice and preheated for these. But the cool, like I said, the cool part about that is you can take them out, throw them in the oven at 425 for about the same time, just to warm them up, because they're already gonna be cooked. So throw it in there in the aluminum foil, even frozen. Just throw it in there, give it about 10, 15 minutes, let it warm up, get everything defrosted real nice, and you'll be good to go. So nothing wrong with making too much of this, because like I said, you can freeze it, add a little bit more to it later, heat it back up, then you don't even have to worry about cooking the next time. You just got to throw it in the oven and warm it up. So got some real nice Bella mushrooms, the mini ones. They've got a really great flavor to them, very nice earthy flavor, not overpowering. They'll add a really, really good consistency and flavor. I'm going to stuff these down in here a little bit, because like I said, I don't want it getting too high so the aluminum foil doesn't wrap it properly. Got to make sure you get a real good seal on that. So, because I mean, basically it's going to almost, with the butter and everything else in there, it's almost going to, not quite, but kind of steam them. But it's going to bake it. It's going to trap all that heat in there real nice. So putting about, like I said, 3 rows of 3 in here. Just enough so that way you got one in every spot, because you got to have room for your potatoes too. Ain't nothing like a steak. You know, you can't have steak without potatoes. It's just kind of the way it works. I really like these little red potatoes. They're perfect size for something like this. They've got a really, really great flavor. Not overpowering, not crazy. Plus, like I said, they're small, so they fit in here real nice. So just kind of stick them wherever you can fit them at this point. I mean, we got a lot of stuff in here. Might have gone a little overboard on the ingredients, but better to have too much than not enough, right? So that one's kind of big. She's a big old one. So I suggest getting the bag, which is what I got earlier, and it came with a lot smaller potatoes. If you try to grab the fresh ones right out of there, right off the counter, like with the regular baking potatoes, put them in your own sack, count them out, weigh them out, that kind of stuff. You normally end up getting really big ones. They're not as small as these, so that might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so now we're gonna get some of our beautiful butter, and don't be afraid to go crazy with the butter. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is more than plenty of it, and you can't go wrong with enough butter. Definitely can never go wrong with that. Just gonna give it a much better flavor. It's gonna help all those seasonings mix in. It's gonna help it cook a lot better as well. So everything should turn out very nicely with plenty of butter. See, I'm gonna go about 9 dabs per. It's really up to you how much you like butter, so it's kind of your call as far as how much you put in there. I'm a big butter fan, so we're gonna do lots of butter. I like butter. Cholesterol be damned. We like butter. Now this one I'm getting a little bit bigger dollops, so I'm not going to put quite as much in this one. But yeah, buddy, look at that. That's looking pretty. Color combination is great too. You get the red and the green and the white, and the red of the meat makes it look very, very pretty. So we're going to go ahead and get our garlic powder out. And once again, this is just to taste. I'm a big fan of garlic, so I'm going to put a lot in these. I'm going to go crazy. And the nice part is you can go a little crazy with the garlic because there's no salt in it. We're going to put regular salt in it. This is just garlic powder. You got to be careful if you go with garlic salt, because then you can end up with way too much salt in it, and then it's just going to be really hard to eat. It's not going to taste very good at all, and you're definitely not going to want that. So don't need none of that. Now, honestly, one of these can probably feed 2 people, depending on how hungry y'all are. But like I said, better to have too much than not enough. I'll be able to eat like a king for the next few days on all of this. And then, of course, if any of you have been watching this before, I love my natural sea salt. Morton's, yeah, it ain't nothing fancy, but you know what? It does the job, and it's got a great flavor to it. So I thought about using truffle salt, but man, truffle salt is one of those where a little of it goes a long way. But you know what? I think, just for giggles, I'm going to get some truffle zest out. If you've never had truffle zest, I highly advise you go to your store and get it. It's a little on the pricey side, but it is worth every single penny you pay for it. If I can find it, of course. Got too many. I know it's dark. I'm sorry for that right now. Got a lot of seasonings in here. I should have grabbed this beforehand. My bad, guys. Where is my truffle zest? Truffle zest. Where are you? Maybe I'm all out. That would be weird. I normally always buy like extras and extras and extras of that. So that way I'm not out when I really want to use it. Oh, wait. Ha! Found it. See this right here? Truffle zest. If you've never had this, you have to try it. This is absolutely great on meat, any kind of meat, steak, chicken, pork, whatever. If you're making a steak and you're using this, after you cook your steak, a little salt, a little pepper on the steak. After you cook your steak while it's resting, rub this all over it, back and forth, top and bottom, everywhere you can. Put as much on there as you want. It is so freaking good. I swear by this stuff. It is delicious. My brother, I made him and his friend or his girlfriend some steaks the other night with this stuff in there, and he had never had it before. He was like, "What the hell is that?" And then he had this, and he had bought some seasoning for his steak, and I was like, "Really? You're not even gonna try it my way?" He's like, "All right, I'll try it." And he tried it, and he was so impressed. I thought he was gonna keel over dead. He thought it was so good. So, like I said, it's a little on the expensive side. I mean, they're truffles, but I'm telling you, it is so worth it. It is so good. And like I said, you can't really go crazy. It's not like there's a salt in it. They do have truffle salt, which if you ever do get truffle salt, trust me, a little goes a very long way. I'm talking like a pinch is all you would need in something like this, which is why I don't use it too terribly often, because I have a bad tendency to over season sometimes. And then next thing you know, holy crap, it's way, way too much. So, all right, I'm gonna pepper these real quick. So I gotta sit you down for just a second, because my pepper grinder requires 2 hands, obviously, because it's a pepper grinder. But remember, I always keep it on the small setting. I don't know if you can see that. I always keep it on the small setting, so that way you got, you know, real nice fine pepper in there. Same thing, seasonings. Can't ever go with stuff like this. You know, a little bit of salt. Salt's really easy to get too crazy with. I know, trust me, I've done it in the past plenty. But you know, pepper, the truffle zest, garlic powder. You know, you can't go too crazy with it. Nobody's gonna complain and go, oh my God, that's way too much. Unless you just go absolutely insane, you know. So use a reasonable amount, you know. I don't generally use too much of an exact measurements unless I'm baking, because baking's chemistry. Baking's an absolute science. You've got to be careful with your measurements of baking. But when it comes to cooking stuff like this, man, just put whatever you think's good on there. Just, you know, go to town, have at it. You know, don't be afraid to freaking season it. Like I said, just be careful with salt, because salt can make a meal really unedible really quickly. Trust me, I've done it before. It sucks. So. All right, now we'll see if we can get these puppies closed. So we're gonna start out here at the bottom, because our sides, like I said, aren't too terribly big on either side. I'll just scoop that one over a little bit. You might even have to double wrap them. You make them too big. Like I think I might have made these too big. So we're gonna start out at the bottom and fold over. Oops, I dropped you. My bad. Yeah, definitely have to double wrap these. So I went a little crazy with the ingredients, but that ain't no big deal. I got plenty of aluminum foil. I bought two new packages at the store just for this specifically, so no big deal at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull these out, set them on the counter, so that way we can put another layer of aluminum foil down and double wrap these. I'm gonna make sure all those juices stay in real nice, so definitely want to double wrap them if it ends up like this. Like I said, I bought 2 brand new things of foil, so no big deal if we've got plenty. Just see, set it right there on the side like that. Wrap that up all real nice like that. I advise bending your edges up. That way, in case any juice, you know, any of that beautiful melted butter comes out, pull it up on the edges and it'll stay in there nice and cooled. See? So I took that and I wrapped it up. See, I got it bunched up on the sides, on all the sides like that, so that way all those beautiful juices stay in there real nice. All right, we'll put that one to the side real quick, and we'll do the other one. Now what I'm doing here is the part that's already, see how it didn't wrap it up all the way completely? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the long sides on this and I'm folding them up and over so that way it'll wrap up real nice. So scoop this one back a little bit more in the center. There we go. Wrap that up like that. And then once again, like I said, make sure you fold it up on the sides as much as possible. You can fold it down a little bit on the top, obviously, but you fold it down on the sides real good, so that way it keeps all those juices in there. All right? See? So it ends up looking like this. Real simple, real easy. You just prepare all your stuff, all your ingredients. You know, I diced the onions, I sliced the peppers, rinsed off the tomatoes, rinsed off the peppers, you know, diced up that beautiful sirloin, and then wrap up in aluminum foil. Real simple. Once again, the oven's on 425. Pop open our beautiful oven. Grab your trusty towel. Always have a towel on hand. It'll save your life. Now you can, if you really want to, you could put them directly on the oven itself. But for ease of getting it in and out, I would highly advise putting them on the tray, because it's going to make your life a lot easier as far as getting them in and out of the oven. You know, if with grabbing aluminum foil, I mean, it's going to be hard. Even with tongs or something like that, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So I would highly advise putting them on a tray and then throwing them in there. I'm probably going to take the rest of these leftovers and throw them in some more aluminum foil and make another one. But we'll worry about that later. You guys don't need to see that. You've already seen it once. Now, on to the lobster tails. All right. Lobster's actually pretty easy to prepare. Surprisingly enough, I thought it was going to be really difficult the first time I tried it, but it's actually pretty easy. So what we're going to do is what you're going to do is you need to take a pair of scissors. You're supposed to have like professional chef cutting shears, but you know what? A pair of scissors out of my sewing kit work just fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to take it and you want to get under here and you're going to want to cut all the way down to that tail. Okay, all the way down to the end. You don't want to cut through the tail because then it'll split open. But you want to cut all the way down till right about here so that way you don't split the tail. So these are some extra large lobster tails. Most lobster tails aren't this big. These were, I have to admit, kind of on the expensive side, but you can get regular lobster tails that are a lot small. Well, not a lot smaller. They're about half this size for about $5 a pound. These ones were, I don't even want to tell you how much I spent on these. They were considerably more expensive, but they're huge. There was 2 of them left. I saw them. I had to have them. So we're going to cut these up real quick, and then we're going to show you. We've got to put a little butter on them as well. It's supposed to be melted butter, but our butter's been on the counter for a while, so it should be pretty well melted. So I'm going to sit you down here so you guys can watch from the side. Have my trusty salt as my cameraman because he's trusty. So like I said, just pick, get under the shell but over the top of the meat. And once again, this is why it would be better if you had like actual chef shears, but you know what? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what we always say in the military. So use what you got and make the best out of it, and that's exactly what we're doing here. So there we go. These ones are a little harder to cut than the last one. I guess it's because they're bigger. I don't know. I'm no expert on lobster by any means. I just know it tastes really good when I cook it. And I certainly didn't have any complaints the first time I cooked it. I overcooked it a little bit, not too terribly bad. I put it in there for about 15 minutes. I really should have put it in there for about 10. It actually ended up hitting its internal temperature a lot quicker than what I thought it would. So, but you see that right there? See that right there? Cut it right down the middle like that. Like I said, not quite all the way to the tail, but get as close as you can without actually going into the tail. So, do the same thing to this one. There we go. I've used 2 hands. There we go. Like I said, my scissors aren't anything fancy. There's some, very simple sewing shears that I got out of my sewing kit. Should go out to my toolbox and get my aluminum cutting shears, my metal shears tonight. That's what I should go get. But those things are probably covered in all kinds of aircraft oil and sealant and all kinds of nasty cancer-causing stuff you don't want to eat near your food. So, all right. Rinse these off real quick. I always want to make sure you rinse them off too, because otherwise they'll become sticky and ucky and get dull real easy. Don't want that. Always got to clean as you go. Makes your life a lot easier at the end of the day. Oh, forgot to set my timer too. Timer for those, to check them for the first time, is 15 minutes for those aluminum wraps. There you go. All right, so we've got these, like I said, nice and split down the middle. You don't really need to do anything to the belly until you're ready to eat it. And then you're just gonna kind of cut all that open as it goes. But right now, everything I read online is just baste them with butter. So we're gonna put butter on them. and then we will let them rest for a little while because they're only going to take about 4 or 5 minutes in the oven at 425 before they're properly cooked. So obviously we're going to wait a little while to put those in, probably until at least after we check our aluminum wraps. And then we'll throw them in while the aluminum wrap meals cool down, let that meat settle a little bit, and then we'll throw these in the oven. So let's put some butter on them, huh? Who doesn't like butter? Normally I'd take this and I'd put a little, I'd just use my brush if I melted it, but I didn't really melt this stuff too well. So we're just gonna coat the backs real well. And then when we're done, when we pull them out of the oven, I'll have some melted butter and some lemon ready for them. I think I still got a lemon, I hope not. I hope so. If not, well, we'll be all right. It's still really good with just butter. You're supposed to serve them with a lemon. So we're just gonna coat the back side of these real good with lots of butter. See, that cut in the back's gonna help that butter get down and in there real good. That way it'll soak down in real nice and we will be all kinds of good to go. Go ahead and put some on the end since there's so much meat sticking out of back there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a lot. I mean, these things are massive. That's a lot of freaking meat sticking out there. And this is really all you gotta do to them. You don't need to season them in. You don't need to season them or do anything like that. You just smother them in butter and call it a day. So, there we go. Rinse this thing off because, yeah, you know, seafood, raw seafood, I'm not going to take any chances contaminating the rest of my butter. Alright, as you guys can see, they're good and smothered in butter. Leave that out here for a little bit, let that melt a little more. And then as soon as the oven wraps are done, we'll throw some aluminum foil down on another baking tray. And I'll show you putting them in the oven and all that kind of stuff. Same temperature, it's going to be about 425, but it's really only going to take about 5 minutes. So, alright, I will see you all in a little bit. Thanks. Took a considerably a lot longer than what I thought it would. Simply because of the potatoes. Maybe I should have boiled them first, but it ended up taking about an hour. The steak's not overcooked by any means. It's a little bit darker than what I like it personally. I prefer medium rare, but still a little pink. But you know, it's still really, I mean, you can see how moist it really is in and all that butter and everything else. So came out really, really well. Those potatoes are nice and soft. That's actually what ended up taking the longest time, was the potatoes. So we're going to end up readjusting this time scale to about an hour. But I mean, man, look at that. All that seasoning on there and everything else. So those came out really, really, really nice. This is the second one right here. I mean, you can tell it's just that aluminum wrap worked out so well. I mean, it's just roasting in butter. So we're going to let these cool for a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and cook the shrimp. Because like I said, the shrimp technically, according to the original post, is only supposed to take about 5 minutes. That was actually the instructions that came from the store, that at 425 degrees are only supposed to take about 5 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and throw the shrimp on the grill, or into the stove, onto the pan, onto the aluminum foil here. So here we got them right here, all covered in butter real nice. So we'll just slide those on there, push those apart a little bit right there. Now, if I remember correctly, I think the internal temperature on lobster tail is supposed to be about 150, 155. So we will get out our beautiful, dutifully digital temperature gauge, which honestly will only cost you about $5 or $6 at your local grocery store. Trust me, they are well worth it. The digital ones are so much better than the analog ones. I highly advise getting one. They are so simple to use, really, really easy. So we're going to go ahead and throw these plus that extra. Like I said, I told you I was going to end up having extra. So I made a whole nother wrap. Had to wrap it twice in aluminum foil, just like the last time. And then we're going to go ahead and throw these shrimp in there. I did end up having a lemon. I ended up having 2 lemons, so I went ahead and cut up 1 in half. So we're going to squirt half a lemon on both of them once they're done. which is supposed to make it oh so excellent. Once again, same thing, 425. It's supposed to be about 5 minutes, so we'll see how they look after 6 minutes. Check them. We'll check them with the temperature gauge, but we're gonna go ahead and slide those in the oven. And you don't need a lot of aluminum foil on them. I actually end up using a little too much, but that's okay because they don't need to be wrapped. They just need to sit inside the aluminum foil. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off there, like that. Now, like I said, you don't have to do anything. Butter's so good. We don't have to do anything else to them. You just gotta throw them in the oven, let them cook, wait till they're a nice bright red, check the internal temperature, and they should be good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and open our oven. Oh, look at that hot, angry, vicious oven. And we're gonna go ahead and throw this in there with these. We're gonna go ahead and put it straight in like that. So like I said, the lobster shouldn't take very long at all to cook. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and set the timer for 5 minutes. Because last time I cooked them for like 15 minutes, and we'll go ahead and go 8 minutes. Last time I cooked them at this temperature for 15 minutes, they were a little overdone, not crazy, but it was enough. It was enough to make them a little over dry, not too bad with all the butter we put on them. So we're gonna let these cool off. Already got that one on a plate. We're gonna rinse that lobster plate off so that we can use it to eat on. And then just gonna let everything cool down a little bit, let that meat set, let the juices continue to go on. Go ahead and wrap this up a little bit. You know, let it cook a little more so that way those potatoes and everything else stay moist while the lobster cooks. That way you don't lose any moisture or any of your texture to it. But everything right now, I mean, those potatoes, I mean, check this out. Take that knife and you stick it in those potatoes. Look how easy it goes in. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what you're wanting. Nice and smooth entry exit. So, like I said, that's what took so long. So, FYI, if you want to do this, 425, talking about an hour. Shouldn't be much more than that. Anything more than that, it's going to end up cooking your steak too much, or end up cooking your potatoes too much. Like I said, the steak is a little more cooked than what I'd prefer. Oh, those are the mushrooms. Hold on. There you go. There's a piece of the steak. But, I mean, God, it's so juicy. Even at a medium well, I don't think it's quite well done, but at medium well, it definitely looks so juicy. I think it's going to be absolutely delicious. So we're going to rinse off that plate, get ready for those to put the other aluminum foil batch on there. But I honestly think this is going to taste absolutely delicious. I mean, you can see how much butter is soaked in there. I mean, they are just swimming in butter. So we'll wrap these back up. Wrapping them back up like this and letting that internal temperature go. We'll cook that all up a little bit more. Not too terribly much more, but a little bit more. And it will definitely help those potatoes cook out even more. They'll be even softer. They're going to be absolutely amazing. So we're going to cook those up. We're going to let those, cool down, rest for a little bit while the lobster tail cooks. And then as soon as we're done, it's going to be dinner on fire. So we will, as soon as the lobster tail are done, I'll come back and we should be good to go. So like I said, real simple, real easy. Throw it all in aluminum foil, add your seasonings, throw it in the oven, set it for an hour at 425. Just forget about it. You're good at that point. And it's real easy. It's real simple. So, I mean, that's the best part about it. It's simple. It's easy. This ain't nothing complicated. You ain't got to be some fancy chef. You ain't got to cut some crazy cuts. You ain't got to add a bunch of crazy seasonings. This was, garlic powder, sea salt, salt and pepper. I mean, you could have stopped right there. I added the truffle zest just because I love it. It's so good. I absolutely love it. But you don't have to add that. It's no big deal. Like I said, this truffle zest is expensive. You don't need that. It's still going to taste great coming out just the way it is. So this is something else you can do too. If you go camping, my son's a Cub Scout, and I'm a leader in the Cub Scout group. So we go camping a lot. This is a really great meal for camping. You throw it in aluminum foil, and honestly, you can just toss it in the fire with the aluminum foil on there and forget about it. You got to get some good tongs so that we can pull it out when you're done. Probably want to make it a little smaller so it's easier to grab with the tongs. But for doing it in the oven, like I said, real simple. That last one I threw in there, as soon as it's done cooking, I'm going to throw it in the freezer, freeze it, That way we can save it for later and put it in, and then that way when we're ready for it and we're hungry for it, we can just throw it back in the oven for like 10, 15 minutes at 400 degrees, 425, warm it back up because it's already going to be cooked. All you got to do is warm it back up, and then you'll be good to go. You'll have a whole nother meal. I mean, each one of these, like I said, they're so big. I mean, easily 2 people could split one of these. So you're literally talking 2, 4, plus the other one. You're talking 6 meals. Hands down, you don't have to do absolutely anything with. You cook them all in one night, throw them in for an hour, forget about them, hang out, chill, drink your beer, do whatever, pull them out of the oven, and you're good to go for like a week of eating. That's like it. How much more simple could you get? That's awesome. Who doesn't love that? It's simple cooking. And that's one of the things I'm trying to show you. It's simple cooking. So, like I said, this is going to turn out great. I'll be back as soon as the lobster's done. We'll check on them. We'll verify the temperature and make sure that they're right temperature. If they're not, we'll throw them back in the oven for a little bit longer. And as soon as they're at the right temperature, we'll come back. We'll record more. We'll show you how it does. Like I said, I got a whole lemon cut up. We're going to do 2 big sides of lemon. And we'll do half a lemon on both pieces of lobster to season it. Add that little citrus juice to it because we've got a whole lemon to do it with. And I think it's going to be really, really good that way. It was really, really good last time. I just overcooked them a little bit. This time we know better. Now, like I always say, this is an experiment. We're trying new things. So we're playing with temperatures. We're playing with seasoning. We're trying new things. And we are learning together. You and I and everybody else watching, we are learning together. And that's the whole point of all of this. I'm experimenting. We're playing with things. So hopefully you really enjoy this. Hopefully you try this out at home. I'm telling you right now, an hour in this aluminum foil, those potatoes are cooked great. Those onions are cooked great. Those peppers are cooked great. That steak is going to end up being moist and juicy and beautiful. You're going to absolutely love it. Just give this a try. So I'll be right back as soon as the lobster is done. Deuces. J-Car out. Let's see if you can see it before it gets too cool. Nope, can't see it. We are sitting at about 149 degrees, almost 150, which, let's see, maybe if I put it in this one, we can see it a little better. No, you can't see the digital thermometer. One of them sitting at about 153, the other one's sitting at about 150. So they are good to go. That's about exactly where you want them. If you can tell, they've got a very, very, very nice red color to their shells, which is exactly what you're wanting. So they have turned out absolutely beautiful. We're going to split these open. You're going to eat them from the bottom side, so you're going to flip them over and eat them from the bottom. We're going to go ahead and take these, and we will pull out the thermometer. One thermometer is sitting at 154 for this one. Ooh, get out of there. There we go. I know you can't see it. Yeah, it's not working. But either way, so you're talking about between 150 and 160. Went ahead and turned off my thermometer. Wiped it off. Always make sure you wipe off the thermometer. Got some tongs here we're going to grab. And we will have 1 lobster tail per meal. There we go. Look at that big, beautiful thing. Look at that. Look at that nice white meat, nice red color. That's exactly what you're looking for. Exactly what you're looking for. Okay, there's a little bit of leftover right here, so we're going to grab this. Throw it here on the side. Yeah, a little bit of that came out when it cooked, which there ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, look how pretty and white that is. I mean, that's perfect. That's absolutely exactly what you're looking for. So we got another one on the table. We'll put that one with the other. We'll go ahead and bring this plate over here. Oops. Good thing I clean my counters on a regular basis. I use 409 just in case anybody's curious. Ain't nothing to be worried about. I 409 my counters on a regular basis. Pretty much every time I cook. Pretty much before every time I cook. So if you look at this, I mean, holy God, look at that. Those potatoes, everything else. Oh, it's so good. So we're going to throw a whole bunch of this onto the plate. Now, obviously, if you're out in the country, if you're cooking, you can eat this straight out of the aluminum foil. It's no big deal at all. It's absolutely fine. You can totally eat this. And that's one of the things, the reason why a lot of people, when they're cooking, they do the aluminum foil thing, is simply because of the fact that you can eat it straight out of the aluminum foil. All you gotta do is spread it open. You know, you can sit on the ground, you can sit on the dirt. As long as you're eating it out of the aluminum foil, certainly ain't gonna hurt nothing. A lot of people do that. Oop, mushroom. And that's the way a lot of people do it. And even with the fact that I said it was a little overcooked, it's still a little pink on the inside, not crazy. So it should be, oh, it should be absolutely amazing. The potatoes are really, really soft. It's turned out absolutely beautiful. Oops, what did I do? Oh, had my hand on the wrong side of the camera. So, we'll do this right here. Grab that one. I mean, this is really a two-person meal. I mean, you're never gonna. Unless you're a serious freaking eater, you're never gonna eat all of this by yourself. I also have 2 very cut up lemons. So we're gonna flip the lobster tail over and we're gonna put those on there. That's kind of the idea. Oh, look how pretty and red and pink that is. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly the way you want it. So you're gonna squeeze some lemon over the top of that. And you're going to want to cut that down the middle too to try to get some of that extra meat out of there. So you're going to want to take that and you're going to want to cut. It's really hot, so we're going to have to use tongs. Gotta love tongs. Tongs and a spatula are honestly probably the most important parts of your kitchen accessories. I can't think of anything you would need more than those. I mean, obviously you got forks and knives and everything else, but you know, a good cutting knife, you know, you got to be able to take that, especially with lobster, really, you know, big chunks of meat or anything else, you know, you want to, yeah, you want to be able to kind of get that split apart, and then you can take it, as long as it's not too hot, which, FYI, this is really, really hot because it's fresh out of the oven. Split that apart like that. Get some of that skin off there, so that way we can get right down to the meat. Oh, look at that, man, that's beautiful. Look at that. I mean, it's really, really cut up really nice. I mean, it's nice, perfect, and white. It's just the way you want it. Right there. And you take that lemon and you just squeeze it. Like I said, I prefer half a lemon, especially with ones this big. These ones are big. They're not what I normally get. They are way, 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 way bigger than what they get. Way, way bigger than what normal ones got. These ones are expensive. Like I said, you can get a normal lobster tail and it's going to taste the same for about $5 a pound, $5, yes, $5-6 a pound. I think it was $5.89 for regular ones. But if you want the big ones, they're going to cost you. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you how much these cost because it was pretty ridiculous. But I couldn't resist. They were so big, they were so beautiful. I absolutely could not resist. So I'm going to spread as much lemon juice on this as possible. We're going to taste this real quick. We're going to taste the meat, the potatoes, the mushrooms, and tell you how amazing they taste. But you can smell it throughout the entire house. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you how good this tastes. I'm gonna leave the lemons on the side, just so that way, in case I want a little more, I can probably squeeze them a little harder, get a little more something out of them. I'm gonna grab a fork real quick. we're gonna do the lobster first. Let's get you a nice little piece right there out of the center. I mean, you can tell by looking at this. I mean, how beautiful is that? It's perfectly white, just the way you want it. Got lemon, got butter on it. So good. Oh my God. That's perfect right there. So you're talking, that's the way you want it. 145 to 150, no more. Any more than that, it's gonna be dry. But right there, between 145 and 150 with enough butter, oh, it's gonna be absolutely amazing. So, once again, like I said, 1 by 1 inch steaks cut up like that, because they're gonna end up reducing to about like this. And I know it looks a little overdone. I'm not a big fan of anything less than medium rare, but with the potatoes, we had to cook them longer. But with all the butter and the juice and everything else, I think they're gonna turn out, I think it's gonna turn out great. Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. So tender. I can't tell you how tender that is. I wish I could express it to you in words, but holy God in heaven. All right, let's try aluminum. Ain't no big deal. We're gonna cut this up a little bit on the lobster. Try it right here. Oh yeah. That garlic and that butter inside of it, so good. Try a little bit of this bell pepper. I mean, you see how well they cooked, even though they were really big to begin with. But man, they cooked down to a very nice size. Oh, those taste absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm not even a big fan of onions, but you know what? I'm gonna dig through here. I'm gonna find some onion. Let's see if I can find it. Come on, onion. Where are you? Oh, you know what? A lot of the onions are left inside. Look at that. That's onion. I know it looks like beef, but that's all onion. And man, oh, so good. It's hot because it's fresh out of the aluminum foil, but man, it's so fucking good. All right, let's try one of these mushrooms. Let's see how this goes. Gotta blow it off. You can tell how hot it is. Oh yeah. That butter soaked so well into those mushrooms. It's absolutely fucking amazing. I'm telling you right now. Try this, guys. It is so good. I understand if you can't afford the lobster, no big deal. But the mushrooms and the potatoes, the green peppers, the onions, it's all so freaking good. I mean, and you look at this. I mean, you look at this. This is a meal that can literally last you for 2 days. I mean, this is an insane amount of food. Absolutely insane amount of food. The steak, like I said, was only like $8, $9 a pound. That's all it cost me. It was a big old one. Chopped it up. I still got another steak that has to go back in the oven for a little while. We're going to freeze that one. And that way we can have it for dinner later. Probably a couple of dinners later. But yeah, oh my God, so amazing. I cannot tell you how good this tastes. I wish there was a taste sensor on video chat, because you guys are going to absolutely love this. This is absolutely amazing. Please try this. It is so good. It is so simple. It's really easy. Throw it in aluminum foil, a bunch of butter, some garlic powder, some salt, some pepper, the truffle zest if you can afford it. If you can't, it's not a big deal. It's really, really good just the way it is. So please, by all means, try this. It is so good. If you like good tasting, simple, easy to cook food, throw it in aluminum foil, bunch of butter, some seasonings, throw it in the oven for an hour, and you are good to go. Really simple, really easy, so yummy. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this made you hungry. This is Jay Carr signing off. Y'all enjoy.